Just remind me again, how do I pronounce your last name?
Poulus.
3, 2, 1. Marc Poulus from Poulus Painting out of Chicago. Thank you for being here today, Marc.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
A lot of people know who you are, but for those who don't, who are you and why are you doing this?
Marc Poulus, own Poulus Painting in Chicago. I'm doing this because I did it through high school and college, then went off and did financial services and real estate. I was doing financial services with a company that is no longer around, Shearson Lehman. It was a beautiful day like it is in Chicago today at about 78 degrees, sunny. And I was sitting in this, not quite an office, but not quite a cubicle. And I was like, yeah, this just isn't what I was looking for. Did some soul searching, went back out, said, hey, I think I'm going to go back to this painting thing.
So it was a rare Midwestern nice day outside.
Yes. I mean, perfect.
So
perfect.
if this existential thought happened anytime November through March, you would have said, I like the office life.
It's nice and warm in here.
But it was sunny outside. It was nice outside. Maybe doing financial services in a cubicle for a company that's going to go out of business and a financial crash is not your full life's calling.
I went back, painted for a guy that I painted with in college, was offered a union apprenticeship. I figured if I'm going to do this, I might as well learn the craft as best as I could. So that's what I did.
This is the Chicago unions?
Yes.
A very strong union.
Very strong. Still strong today. I was hired on at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. It was the creme de la creme. Creme de la creme. They fed you, they clothed you, you worked regardless. It was pretty easy. There was a saying at one point that I can't get anything done here. We have too many breaks. I just can't get it done. The great thing about it was you got to experience what Ritz-Carlton service is all about. Being in that environment, I knew I was going to start my own business. It wasn't if, it was when. I was able to absorb all of that training and all of that customer service, try to bring it to my business. So I was there for about 6.5, 7 years, started MVP decorating in 96 or 97. 2 years.
Chicago Bulls were doing very well that year.
Very, very well. So I had MVP decorating, and then 2 years later, I took on a partner, and we were doing a ton of multi-unit new construction buildings in Chicago, the Wrigleyville area where the Cubs play, like thousands of units. And then the lovely year of 2008 hit, and 2009. And
wait, what type of work were you doing in 2008?
New construction. Multi-unit buildings.
Okay. I think I see where this is going.
Yeah.
Talk me through what happened.
Well, all of a sudden we stopped getting paid.
Ooh, this was for work that you were about to do? Like deposits?
Work that we have done. I mean, you know, we had some progress payments, and then all of a sudden builders went AWOL. Yeah. And they weren't paying, and obviously we weren't either. So I basically...
That's hard because you'd had 10, 12 years of stability. And after a decade, you start to stand pretty firmly on the foundation if it hasn't moved in 12 years.
Exactly. Exactly. We had a good go. And then it was kind of one of those things. I didn't make, some of the best decisions. Decided, oh no, I could keep this going with a line of credit. That wasn't very smart. Sure. Because the money never continued to come in. So I decided that we needed to split the partnership. It was my brother-in-law. I took on all the debt that I just can't do this. Our philosophies were a little different in business and such. So I started in 2009. I started Marc Poulus Painting, knowing that my name would be on every job that I did. And the rest is history.
Wow. Yeah. I was going to say, so that was 15 years ago, 2008. So after that, you probably went back to the office job, right?
Nope.
Oh, you started again. So we had a rebirth.
Yeah.
What gave you the energy? I feel like a lot of people would be beaten down by the 2008 experience, especially when you're going hard into the segment that was hit the hardest, because that had been a fruitful endeavor for 12 years. Seems stable. I don't think anybody saw that coming. Most people would be pretty beaten down, not excited about giving another go. Or was this a factor of it's the only thing I know, a factor of this is where my passion lies? What gave you the idea that you should start a painting company once again?
I just looked around and said, wait a second, there's still people out there getting stuff painted. And I always looked at it that way too, is that, the new construction market is down and people are kind of tight with their money, but That means they're not doing a lot of major construction projects, but they're going to work on their homes. So let's continue on.
For 15 years, and you said, I'll never take on another partner again. That was the worst.
No, it's like, I always believed in partnerships. I always did. And it was kind of like an old boys kind of partnership. It was like, yeah, I like you, you like me. We didn't complement each other's strengths, but we did complement each other's weaknesses. So that was kind of tough.
How did you, not everybody knows this, but you are a partner with Aleph Holdings. What got you interested in doing that? Why would you do that?
There's a few reasons. I've been a lone wolf for, the last 14, 15 years. And even when I had a partner, I basically did everything except all the painting. I did some of the painting and I did it all. I did books, operations, project management, through the garbage, whatever it took. And I grew to a point that it was a very comfortable lifestyle business. I always said to myself, there's something more. I actually saw you speak in, it's either 2017 or 18 at the residential forum in Minneapolis. And you had talked about this thing that, maybe I see a roll up in the trades because it really hasn't happened. But I said, wow, that's gotta be, I looked at it as that's the wave of the future. I thought about it. I went to the first paint by numbers and it wasn't, the partnership thing wasn't out there yet, and kind of followed you, saw what you guys were doing. Wheels started turning. And I said, wow, this is kind of cool. One of the things that I think fascinated me the most was that I'm going to have a partner that's willing to dig in, work beside me, and take on part of the responsibility. If I can turn to somebody for, hey, this is exactly what it is. And I've been down the coaching road. I've chased shiny objects. I was like, okay, we could do this. And I think I told you this before, because in December, I was ready to pull the trigger and I said, nah, I think I'm going to do the coaching thing. And then I sat back and said, you'll let yourself off the hook. Called you back and said, hey, will you still have me? I just realized there's a ton of benefit. People have asked me as of late, is this an exit strategy for you? And I look at them like, exit strategy? Yeah, I'm 60 years old, but I'm looking at this as a 10X. This is an exit strategy. I'm diving in.
What have some of the highs and lows been? I'd say, what are we, 6 months in, maybe?
Highs are, I feel like I have a business now.
What do you mean by that?
Like I said, I was the lone wolf, so I did what I want. I could let myself off the hook. I could say, oh yeah, you know what? That really needs to get done. Okay. Oh, I didn't do that. Oh, well, too bad. Too bad. Let it go. Now I have, and I think I told Dave this when he asked me, he says, well, what are give me a couple things that you're looking for out of this partnership. And I said, I want someone to hold my feet to the fire. That's what I've gotten. It was easy to shirk responsibility by myself. It's not so much anymore. I asked that question. It's like, okay, if they were to come in here and fire me, what would they do today? As opposed to what I'm doing. Lows have been just, it's a grind. You're in the middle of a working business and trying to put all the pieces of what's going to make you sustainable and make you an asset.
You had said you were looking for a partner to come lean in and do work with you. Has Aleph done that?
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
In what ways?
First one off the top of my head is team meetings. We had them inconsistently and on and off. We have them now. I never really had a solid budget that I could turn to. Written down budget, we can do this, and this is how much we can spend, and this is where we're going. Now, it allows me to see the data. Once you know certain KPIs, it's kind of just a math problem. Just follow the data. This isn't working. This is working. You
said team meetings. Do we have someone that's helping run team meetings? Or how do you mean?
Dave comes in and does our L10, the traction method. The other thing is I've since hired an operations manager and a project manager, and I have an estimator who will be out by you, I think, on Thursday. We'll be in Minnesota on Thursday to hang out with Micah and Mark.
Nice. She's going to do field estimates with our team, or he?
Yep. He's a visual learner, so that's what he'll take away. I think it'll be really good for him as well. So Dave runs those meetings, and we look at issues that we need to discuss. We look at big rocks for the future. We look for what's going right, where we're going next. And it's great to do every week.
So it sounds like we kind of say the first thing to do is set a strong compass. That's getting clear visibility on the budget, the numbers, the KPIs.
Mm-hmm.
The second step is to get the first group of a team set together. It sounds like, have you had a project manager and estimator before, or are those new things this year?
Estimator I had, but no, you want to train like you are not a painter. You have all that vast knowledge, but you want to train as you're not a painter. You're the client. You need to explain things that way. You can't throw all that jargon out there. You can't.
Yeah, you can't info dump. That's like the cardinal rule of sales is info dumping. A bunch of things that the client doesn't care about, but you're really excited about.
Yeah, it's like, excuse me, let me throw up all this information. Oh, did I get some on your shirt? I'm sorry.
It's like a car salesman slapping the hood of a car and talking about how much spaghetti can fit inside of a car.
This bad boy can fit so much spaghetti. Mamma mia!
Nobody cares about that.
Don't.
What type of painting does Marc Poulus painting do?
Good on the pronunciation. We do high-end residential repaints. We do a small amount of commercial. We do some schools, some churches, mostly low-end $800,000 to $15 million homes.
Would you say you're pretty well known in the area?
I think so. I think it was pretty
fun for me when you came and visited the Twin Cities for our partner retreat at the baseball game, Minnesota Twins versus who knows who. And someone said, you were from the Chicago area and were a painter. I said, oh, have you heard of Marc Poulus painting? And he said, you wouldn't believe it, but that's me. So that was pretty exciting for me to observe.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty wild. Huh? Yeah, I know that guy. You're looking at.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
A little celebrity.
That was another reason that I joined Aleph as well. Is you can go so far with your name, and I can continue to be the Ferrari and just, okay, we're going to put out 2 or 3 cars a year or whatever it is, or I can really expand my talents, share them out that way.
It's fun when a business is more of a magnifier or an amplifier of your abilities instead of a governor or a restrainer.
True.
And I've found that I've talked to a lot of people where their business, that individual is uniquely talented in some aspect, but their business has many different aspects to it, and their business ends up governing their true potential and their unique ability. Opposed to when you have multiple people involved that are willing to shoulder the load, the company becomes more of an amplifier of your unique talents.
As you say that, I mentioned this before in our Q3 kickoff, is that we do work in Lake Geneva, which is it's in Wisconsin, and it's about an hour and 20 minutes north of our location. And I've always talked about, I'm gonna open this market up as opposed and take my talent up there. And I haven't been able to do it because I have all the stuff going on here in the Chicago area, even though I do have guys I have a couple employees that live up there, plus my guys from here go up there. I find that is where my unique ability lies, is to create those relationships. Now I'm going to be able to spend more time up there doing that.
What was Marc like before corporate America? What was the young Marc like in high school and middle school?
Middle school, high school, we moved from Chicago proper, west side of the city, which is now kind of a war zone, to a fairly affluent suburb. I was a little taken aback at first, and then my dad died when I was 13, and I wouldn't say went off the deep end, but I had a wild side to me. Basically, I started, I got involved in sports, and I wrestled through high school and college, and it was a lot. It allowed me to kind of channel some of that crazy energy, get a great dose of discipline. And I think that still kind of holds true today, is I still like to have fun.
I didn't know you wrestled in college.
I did.
What was your favorite move?
I just going to stick to the basic with a double leg takedown.
Classic double leg takedown. How about like a pinning move? Did you have a favorite pinning move?
We called it the Gable roll. It was named after Dan Gable, and it's basically like a chicken wing, and then you pull the guy's arm through his crotch and turn him over.
Drive forward, I pull him up onto my knee, and I'm tight.
That seems like it'd be very effective.
It was very effective. And it's weird because I look at comparisons to painting and wrestling, and just in my life, I wrestled, and the school I chose to go to in college was not for the academics of it, but who they wrestled against. It was like who the competition was. And it's the same thing in painting. It's like I wasn't looking to broadcast everywhere. I just wanted to work with the best. When I wrestled, we wrestled Iowa, Iowa State, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State. We wrestled Penn State. We wrestled all the major powerhouses of the time. That was the reason I went there. I'm like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I want to be against the best.
Where did you go to college?
Drake University in beautiful Des Moines, Iowa.
Were you pretty good? I mean, you were good enough to wrestle in college.
Yeah, I was pretty good. The college life kind of derailed me a little bit from what my mission was there.
Sure. Wrestling, like you said, it's a very discipline heavy sport. What is the universe and how does it operate? What do you think about this? I don't know what the universe is sometimes. This is a picture. It's the universe. Okay. And then over here it says universe pretending to be individuals. They all look like they're separate entities above ground. It's actually all part of the same hand. What do you think about that?
I think there's a lot of truth in that.
Ooh. What do you mean by that?
I think that we're all connected in some way. I'm not built like it, but I used to run a lot when I worked at the Ritz Carlton, since it was so close to Lake Michigan, as I would get there at 5 o'clock in the morning and I would run the lakefront. And when it was freezing out, you ran on the sand. It felt great because the sand was, the water would come up, but the sand was packed in. So it was like a padded surface, because if you were on concrete, the water got up there and there was black ice and you could end up in the water. One of the things that I always thought of is, as I was running and I would pass other runners, or other runners would pass me, or we'd cross paths, I always felt that, hey, we're all on this same journey together, regardless of pace or ability or anything else. It's just like, hey.
Wait, what did you say you are?
The ombudsman.
What's that mean?
The go-between, the representative, the not dignitary, but you are the bringer of good faith and goodwill.
Some early morning running thoughts. I like those.
That's it.
What else do you think about when you're running on those Chicago mornings?
The world is mine. That's all it was. I mean,
like
you have to feel that. I mean, because you run so much. I mean, it's you in the world, and you have to be part, and you're part of that. Because how often do you see people when you're running, other than when you're doing 100 miles?
It's very rare.
And so it's you in the world.
Do you live in the city?
I do not. I live in the suburbs. I used to live in the city. I was
going to wonder, what is that energy like in the city?
Right now, I couldn't tell you. I have a son that lives in the city, and it's a pretty cool energy where he's at. I don't know, ever since the pandemic, what city life is like now.
Here's something I've been thinking about. Why is it when you multiply two negatives together, they equal a positive? Doesn't make any sense. Have you heard about this?
A little bit.
If you have like 2 times 2 would equal 4, that's a positive number. 2 times -2 would equal -4. It's a negative number. This is basically the same. I don't know why they have this other one. But -2 times -2 equals +4. What's that about? I feel like they're messing with us.
Yeah, I do too.
Math people are messing with me, and it's a joke. And they're just seeing if I'll say something or if I'm going to go along with it. -2 times -2 equals +4. How do 2 negatives equal a positive when multiplied? But when you add them up together, they're still negative. That seems fishy to me. I think it's questionable. I think there's some shenanigans going on there. Have you heard about the entrepreneur? I want to call it an endemic entrepreneur thing that's been going on. A lot of people want to be entrepreneurs, but they are not entrepreneurs. It's kind of sad. It's kind of bad. And I feel like there are a lot of sharks out there saying, guys, if you don't get out of your comfort zone, nothing will change in your life. Actually, that's a bad premise for this. Let me start that over. Cut. Okay. Here's another picture. It's a shark. He's talking to these guys who are scuba divers with oxygen, and they're in a cage, metal. And he's saying, guys, if you don't get out of your comfort zone, nothing will change in your life. What do you think about this?
Entrepreneurs or hunters or whatever it's almost a gene thing.
It's a disorder.
Yeah, exactly. If you have it, that's what you do. You go and you hunt and you make things happen. And the big thing is on both sides of it, going back to that unique ability type thing, is it's either if you don't, but you're an entrepreneur, you need to find people that will help you. And if you are, you need to find the people that are more hunter-gatherers.
I think the shark just wants to eat the people.
Yeah, but he's got all those fish there. What's up with that?
That's a great point. If he's hungry, why does he not eat the fish? These people are full of rubber suits,
metal,
and
compressed gas.
This is going to be way easier to eat the fish. I think he may not even be hungry. He just wants a challenge in his life. And he's telling them to get out of the cage, not for their own benefit, but for his benefit. They will no longer have protection when they get out of their comfort zone. It's one of the critiques of a comfort zone is that it's comfortable, but maybe it's protecting you from the sharks. Something to think about, I suppose. How do you think the fear of death manifests itself in your daily life? Are you afraid of death?
No, I think it's a part of life. Do I want to extend my life? Yes. If death comes knocking on my door, I'm okay with that.
What do you think happens after we die?
I don't know where we go. I don't know what happens. I'd like to believe that,
I think we usually go into like the ground or we're cremated.
Right. But
are you saying there's something else that happens with another part of our being? Not our physical body?
So what happens? So you die, and within seconds of your dying, I think you lose weight after you die.
Okay.
Even though you're the same physical person. So is that air, or is that your soul, or is that your life force that leaves?
Midichlorians.
But where does that go? I love that phrase that I'm not a human having a spiritual experience.
Not a human being have a spiritual experience. I'm a spiritual being having a human experience.
A human experience. That and the, nowhere and now here.
So you believe in spirits? And
I do. I believe in God. It's like I was raised in a Greek Orthodox church. Religion isn't always my thing, but I've always felt close to God. I don't know how that works out. It just seems like, I know that someone's watching over me somewhere.
That's interesting. What do you think religion is?
I don't know what I think religion is.
Sometimes I think religion is like a program or systems and structures that are supposed to lead us to greater spirituality. Because when people say like they're religious about their diet, they're just very regimented to achieve the result that they want. Or if someone's religious about working out, or religious about writing a diary, or religious about religion, I feel like religion done right gets you closer to spirituality. But to your point, a lot of people experience religion in a way that gets them further away from a spiritual experience. That's doing religion wrong.
I agree. Is it constraining, or is it something that, as they would say, sets you free?
Yeah. If you had a focus of physical health through your diet, and you were religious about a diet that made you less healthy, I'd say you were religious in the wrong way to a diet. You should be religious to a diet that improves your health, not one that hurts it.
So you shouldn't be religious to a diet of Twinkies and pizza.
That you could technically be very religious to a diet of Twinkies and pizza. You just will get a result that is not what you may be desiring. And if you're religious to rhythm that furthers you from spirituality, you're probably doing it wrong, or you're doing the wrong way.
Got it.
What is suffering? Where does it come from? And how can living a happy life bring us to a sad place? I think this is from a movie. I think it says it's like a cartoon, sad person.
Okay.
3 questions in there. What is suffering and where does it come from?
So is an all life suffering?
I don't think there was suffering in the Judeo-Christian paradigm of the Garden of Eden. So there's this story, I think Jews hold to it as well, because it's in the Old Testament, which is there was this Garden of Eden before man tried to become God, where there was no pain and suffering, from my understanding. So maybe not. So maybe life as we know it today there is no absence of suffering.
I'm not saying suffering is a bad thing. And there was a saying that I used to use all the time when I would get overwhelmed and people are like, well, why are you like that? I said, I'm just addicted to the suffering.
I came for the low.
You know, that constant striving of it's moving without progress is suffering. You know, the monks that wash dishes for 12 hours or whatever. I'm not thinking about what else I have to do or what else I need to do or anything like that. I'm just washing the dishes and I'm going to continue to do that. So I don't know.
So there's a benefit in suffering and that it brings us into the moment and perhaps saves us from existential dread, you could say.
Maybe.
So I don't know how to pronounce this guy. Sisyphus, maybe? Sisyphus. He's a dude who's pushing a boulder. It's like a punishment, actually. He's pushing a boulder up a hill, and then it falls down. He has to push it back up. It's like his punishment for trying to cheat death twice. But some would say it's actually a joy to do that because it gives him purpose and meaning. And it's a struggle and it's a challenge that repeats itself over and over. What do we say? We were just saying suffering is life. Suffering gives us meaning, gives us purpose. Suffering lets us know that we're alive. The flip side of that would be, what is happiness? What is happiness to you?
My happiness is in this guy. It's the progression of continually pushing that ball up the hill or that stone up the hill. There's progress in it. I think happiness is kind of, I'm trying to think. It's like, I'm drawing all these things now together from what we've been talking about. And I'm thinking religion and suffering and happiness. I think suffering is expecting an outcome or expecting something that doesn't happen. There's suffering in that. With religion, it's progress because it's, you know, you're progressing if you have a certain religion or a certain faith, you know, whether it be fitness or whatever, you are following that and it's progressing you in a certain direction. That leads you to happiness. Unless you continue to hold on to the suffering, which is, you know, looking at the horizon instead of looking at where you've come from.
Deep thoughts with Mark. I like that. How can living a happy life lead to a place of sadness? Maybe that's what we just talked about.
I think if you take happiness as the number one goal or aim, is you're shooting for happiness. So whatever makes you happy, you do, and you don't suffer to make it better.
You're probably familiar with this setup. You've probably seen this before. The trolley problem, classic.
Mm-hmm.
Trolley is on the way to run over some people. You have an innocent bystander somehow is tied to other tracks that is not in danger. You have a lever. You can change the direction of the trolley, saving these 5 people. But now this person will die who was not going to die. What would you do in this scenario? Mark, would you pull the lever?
I'm running away. I don't know what happens. I'm leaving it to fate. I think in that, I actually think in that instance, is this everybody? One suffers so we all can benefit? Is that what that is? These
are decisions that different people make. That's interesting. You let fate run its course. I thought you might say that. I set you up here, which is, this is a little bit of an interaction. Saying, what's your number? DM over social media. What's somebody's cell number? No, I mean, what's your number? How many people until you should pull the lever are on here, right? An N number of people. I didn't even capture this.
He's gonna get run over.
He's currently tied to the tracks. I've never seen this one.
Oh, I didn't see that before either.
This is a new one. So you are tied to the tracks. How many people would it require to be on these tracks to where you would pull the lever? Oh, this is actually a great question. What's your number, Mark?
Who are those people? Not just quantitative. Let's look at qualitative. Who are those people?
So let's start with, they are strangers you have never met, nor will you ever know.
Got to be a lot of people there.
Okay.
I'll be flat out honest on that. There has to be a lot of people.
Probably like 50.
Yeah.
Maybe like 20.
Yeah, I don't know that. I don't know the answer to that question.
This is a tough one. What if it was people you don't know, but you will know because they will forever. Actually, you won't know them. She'll be dead. They would have to be people that you know. You go acquaintances and then close acquaintances, then close friends, then extended family, then close family. That's an interesting continuum to have this thought experiment around. I like you too much to corner you and badger you too hard, though. I'm gonna let you off the hook because I respect you too much.
Well, thanks. Because it's like that's going to be a question that haunts me for the rest of the day now.
That's a good thing to think about. What is your number?
What is your number?
Under what scenario?
Are we self-sustaining here? Do you think the United States is self-sustaining?
I mean, I am just a humble painter from flyover country. So there's very little that I truly know. Mm-hmm. From what I understand, the U.S. is one of the best positioned to either be self-sustaining or self-reliant or have a close sphere of self-reliance in the Americas if globalization begins to break down. So right now we've all benefited from globalization. Well, not all of us, not everybody, which has benefited, the specialization and compartmentalizing of production, which with a free trade system and relatively kind interactions between countries, has allowed a lot of things to be produced for a relatively low amount of dollars. So you have a lot more, global GDP, which has created a lot more opportunities to consume. And we all know that consumption is the precursor to happiness. The absence of suffering is happiness, as we were talking about. Maybe. But yeah, I think the U.S. is well positioned from what I understand. But I do know that we have the most guns. So yeah, we should be okay for a long time with that.
7 times as many as any other.
There's a reason why we don't have healthcare. We have an awesome military, I think.
His whole argument on population, and the population in the U.S. is going down too. And I said, yeah, but we have a secret weapon. We have the border, and we can open it up at any time because people want to be here.
You got it. We are the coolest country by far, and that is, I always tell people, and that is the most important thing, that we are cool. That's the most important thing. America is really cool and people want to be in here.
Yeah.
And it's cool because of our freedom, relative freedom, right? Our relative democracy and opportunities, the relative opportunities that just don't exist many places. So maybe we'll close on this thought. We all think we're great philosophers here on this show, talking about how does the economic prosperity of the world continue as nationalism rises and globalization begins to decrease and become more aware of our suffering and maybe the meaning that suffering brings us and the inability to escape suffering, that technology is only a tool that transfers the type of suffering that we all experience. As we get rid of our hunger, we now experience the pain and regret of gluttony. So we get rid of the pain of boredom. We now deal with the challenges that come with being overstimulated and the inescapable nature of existential dread. So this is a guy standing in a party saying, they don't know it's all slowly collapsing. Bro, we know, we can't change it either. Everyone knows, dude, you're not a genius. So we love to philosophize here and think that we're all smart and have deep thoughts. And at the end of the day, everyone's just having fun at the party, and maybe that's okay.
I think at times it is okay just to have fun at the party.
And that is why you are today's guest. Marc is the fun guy. He is the party guy. Marc, if we're going to have fun and party, what are some things we should know about?
What can you bring to the party? I don't have to bring gifts. It's like, who are you when you show up at the party? Bring your real self. Bring your giving self.
You're in a club to have fun. Just look happy. On the outside.
Marc, I love your mindset. I love how you think about things. I love your happiness and your joy. Thanks so much for coming on the show today. Any parting thoughts?
Is AI a manifestation of the next evolution? And I think the only thing that helps us is that, are we good humans? Because that's what it's going to learn from.
That is a really, what is the AI's purpose? We don't even know what our purpose is. That's like the biggest disagreement we have is what is good, what is bad, what is purpose. There are very strong factions on all those things. Yeah, the idea that we are birthing AI as a natural part of our evolution is an interesting thought for sure.
That's what I'll leave you on.
You hold down Chicago for us and
have everybody take care of my man up there.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Jason. Okay. Bye.
All right. Good job, man. That was fun. I'm going to head to Alaska for a few weeks. So there's a chance this doesn't get out till September.